Greetings, brethren. When I was going through JT's book and reading how he describes the Godhead as body, soul, and spirit, that made me think of how Bryan's group, or Bryan Denlinger, describes the Godhead as body, soul, and spirit. And I wonder, does the way he described his body, soul, and spirit Godhead doctrine, does that sound similar to Swedenborgism? Does it come from Swedenborgism? That's where does that where it comes from? Is that where it comes from? I mean, there's from the early church history, there's been false heresies that sound similar, but this sounds even more similar to what he's teaching than them. So this is just the teaching of Emanuel Swedenborg, which lived around 1688 to 1772. He was a prolific 18th century inventor, scientist, philosopher, and mystic, theological speculator, and the forerunner to modern spiritualism. Swedenborg was born in Stockholm, Sweden, the son of a clergyman and professor of theology, Jesper Swedenborg. So the writings and the kind of thoughts of Swedenborgism from Emanuel Swedenborg, and he was a philosopher and a mystic and a spiritualist, and was a forerunner for the modern spiritualism, or theosophy, occult movement. So, who has the one that's has vain philosophy? Don't be overtaken in vain philosophy or deceived. There's the Trinity or this Swedenborgism or body, soul, and spirit doctrine. So it sounds like these other guys are on the philosophy side and we are not. After studies at the University of Uppsala, where he concentrated on mathematics and astronomy, Swedenborg traveled for 5 years throughout Europe, 1710 to 1740. After a 2-year period, which he engaged in scientific journalism, Swedenborg became an assessor at the Royal College at Mainz in 1716. For the next 30 years, Swedenborg's main work was concentrated in the Sweden metal mining industry. His engineering skills earned him a wide reputation. From 1747 onward, he devoted most time to the acquisition of knowledge through traveling and observation, and to the elaboration and publication of scientific and theological theories. In 1745, Emanuel Swedenborg had a life-changing experience. The Lord appeared to him and told him that a person was needed to serve as the means by which God would further reveal himself to humanity in a similar manner to the prophets in the Holy Bible. This vision began Swedenborg's life as a spiritual revelator for the express purpose of writing doctrines that would belong to the New Jerusalem Church or the New Christian Church mentioned in the Book of Revelation. So he was a mystic and dealt in philosophy and stuff like that. and he's a forerunner to the spiritualism or philosophy. So who has um, what is it? Who whose doctrine is vain philosophy? Is it the body, soul, spirit, or the Trinity? Uh, Body, soul, and spirit. Well, I'll show you what he teaches. So you tell me what the body, soul, and describing the Godhead as body, soul, and spirit. Does tell me if it sounds like this. So his views on God. Although Swedenborg used the word Trinity, he defined it modalistically. These three, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, are three essentials of the one God, which make one, like the soul and the body and the operation of man. This can be compared to the three roles a man have: father, husband, and engineer. This does not mean the husband is different from the father. It's merely a different mode in which one man operates in a given time. According to Swedenborg, this illustration is applicable to God. The Father is God in his essence, while Jesus is the same person but revealed in man. Thus, Jesus Jehovah, who came in the flesh. Swedenborg taught the historic Christian doctrine of the Trinity was hatched by the Nicene Council and perverted the whole of the Christian church when Jesus resurrected, referred to God as a person who was different from himself. He was speaking his indwelling divinity as though separate from and greater from than himself. Instead of person, the Holy Spirit described as the breath typifying the life-giving influence that proceeds from the Lord. He described as the divine truth and the preceding divine that comes from Jesus. The Holy Spirit proceeds from Jesus as heat, light from the sun. So does this body, soul, and spirit thing, the doctrine comes from Bryan, does it sound like Swedenborg is? That Jesus is just the Father indwelling in man. Jesus is the Father, the Father who indwelt in a human body, and Jesus just is that body. So as just as the soul, the body in operation man. So the Father is the soul, Jesus the body, and the Holy Spirit is the Father's Spirit emanating from the breath of life, emanating from the Father, the Lord. That comes from Jesus, which is just the body. He's saying, just like man is body, soul, and spirit, so is God. So you tell me, is what Bryan Dingley are teaching about describing the Godhead as body, soul, and spirit, does that sound like Swedenborgianism? It sounds like it to me. So I hope this reveals something that really didn't come up with anything. It's just an old heresy. I mean, there's probably other ones that really are not talked about in the early church history that's close, but this is even closer. And this is just in the 18th century. And it stemmed from philosophy, and he was in theosophy, or the cult. So I hope this kind of reveals something that he didn't get from anywhere. He got it from, it mirrors what Swedenborg taught. And it's a heresy. It's rooted in philosophy and in spiritualism and the cult, theosophy. So I hope this revealed something that he's indwelling in vain philosophy, not us. Hope this reveals something that what he teaches. Hope this helps you. Thank you and take care.